Hi friends, I'm Olivia, the Southern Yankee Stitcher. Welcome to my Flosstube. Today is Monday, January 5th. I hope you all had a Merry Christmas and a good New Year. I don't really celebrate New Year's Eve much anymore. I'm normally asleep. Normally my neighbors set off a lot of fireworks and I didn't hear any this year. I was awake, but didn't hear a whole lot. So maybe we're all getting older. We just don't celebrate that much anymore. Had a real good Christmas with my grandkids. They all came over Christmas morning about, I don't know, 10:30, 11 o'clock, something like that, and opened the gifts that we had for them here after they had already opened at their house. And so it's 5 of them, ages 8, 6, 3, 2, and 6 months. So we had a full house and chaos and you know, all the wonderful stuff because kids just make Christmas. And I tell you, the most memorable moment probably of the whole of all Christmas Day was seeing my oldest granddaughter dress up in some of her clothes, gifts. There was my daughter Emily got all the girls, it was just given to all the girls, this pink wooden like wardrobe, but no doors on it, but just a place to hang like little dresses and then shelves. It's kind of shaped like a crown, it has a mirror on one end, and she filled it with dress up clothes and, you know, little princess dresses and jewelry and the little plastic heels. Do y'all remember wearing those little plastic heels? And so she just had it all like unwrapped and in there and then just wrapped the whole thing. So they got to rip that off. They both immediately started trying things on. The 2-year-old put on the shoes and she immediately did the splits. Even though they have a little bit of like grippy stuff on the bottom, she just slid right out of them anyway. And the 3-year-old, she dressed up in everything. Well, they both did. They put a dress on, the long gloves up to their elbows, the plastic rings they put on, necklace, a crown, and then, you know, they're walking around those little shoes. The 2-year-old did perfect walking in those shoes before the day was over because she was determined to do it. And the 3-year-old, when she put those little plastic earrings, they're silver plastic with like a big gem in them. When she put her earrings on and looked in that little mirror, she just like was mesmerized and looked at herself and smiled. And we were like, Catherine, come here. And she's like, wait a minute. She couldn't stop looking at herself. Her mom got some video footage of that where she was just looking at herself, and it was so funny. It was so funny. The boys got some little, well, they got some, you know, like video game stuff, but they also got these drones, and the drones were like very lightweight, like foam almost, but they would go up really high. You had remote control and everything. Well, Christmas Day, one of them went on the neighbor's roof. And we were not going to bother the neighbors on Christmas Day, but a couple days later, the boys were out playing in the yard, and the neighbors actually brought them, very kind of them, to bring them some books. It's my first encyclopedia, a little set of books in a nice little holder. And my grandson told them that his drone was up there, so they immediately went up there and got it. It was very nice of them to get it. But it was a lot of fun. I got for, I get Hess trucks for the boys every year. And it wasn't a truck this year, it was a race car and a race car in a race car. Anyway, so they played with those because they are awesome. If you don't buy them for your grandchildren, if they like trucks and cars, you should. HESS. I really never heard of them until I got married. I don't think there were any Hess stations near me in my hometown, so I didn't know they're a gas station. And I don't even know where there is one anymore. But I'm sure they're around somewhere, but the trucks are definitely around, and they have lights and siren, and they are legit, like really nice trucks. So they played with those. But one thing I had been watching, I had like saved on a wish list on Amazon. And it's one of those, I call it a rocking horse, but it's the horse that's on like a metal frame with the big, with the springs. And you just sit on it, you know, rock back and forth. And they were on Amazon. Well, I remember when I was a kid having one of those, and I rode that thing. And so much, I'm surprised it didn't get like a brain injury from shaking myself back and forth riding that horse. And I just thought, the kids are gonna love that. I need to get that for the kids. But I'd already gotten for them and didn't want to get, you know, too much for them. You know, the parents don't want us overdoing it, so we try to not overdo it. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to buy it. Then I saw one on Marketplace for $35, and it was an older one, so it was made even better. It had wooden like step to get up on the horse and all. And I'm like, I'm getting it. I'm getting it and giving it to all the kids. So I did, and I thought the 2-year-old was going to love it the most. I just thought she would be the one that would really love it. Well, she sat on it first, and I moved it a little bit and it scared her. And she's still scared of it. She won't ride it. She's tried a couple times to get on it herself, and she can't quite do it. And she wants to really bad, but she's scared. So she'll, you know, the more she tries it, the more she'll eventually get on it. But the 3-year-old Catherine, she had on all of her princess gear and climbed on that horse and bounced up and down on that thing like crazy. She loved it. And the boys had that horse going so much, like the nose was gonna touch the floor. And we're like, whoa, let's not. I mean, I don't think they could break it because it's like really heavy duty stuff. And I talked to people at work about it, and they were like, 2 of the ladies I work with had them when they were kids too. And they're like, I love that thing so much. I rode it so much. I said, I know, that's why I have to get it for them. So anyway, like I said, kids make Christmas it's just extra special. And we just really enjoyed them this year. So I did, if you didn't watch my Flossmas, I did finish the stocking. I jokingly told my son, but maybe not jokingly, I need a Christmas off. You need to wait. If you're going to have another baby, wait. And so it's born after Christmas next year, so I don't have to stitch a stocking again. Because this stocking, if you didn't see it, it was, I mean, it's beautiful. I love it, but it was a bear. This is it, and I don't have the chart. I didn't pull the chart out, but it's by Cooler Designs, and it's called Gingerbread Mice Stocking. And let me tell you, it's pretty much full coverage. Like all the white behind here, all the white, everything in here is full coverage. This little bit here doesn't have any, and behind the name, but the rest is covered. And let me try to hold it up, do a little better maybe. I found the alphabet off another stocking I had done for another grandchild, or maybe one of my children, I don't remember which one it was, that would fit, because the font that came with this stocking was too big. You couldn't fit Elizabeth in. And I just think it turned out so cute. I didn't line it with anything. It's just, I just put interfacing. That was a word I couldn't remember in the last video. I just put interfacing, and I did do the pom-pom trim. And this was trim that I got at TJ Maxx a couple of years ago. It was on a spindle that had white, red, and white pom-poms, and I've used it on the stockings. It's not perfect right here. I should have gotten a little closer to that, but it's good enough for me. Good enough for me. So after well, also, if you watched my Flosstube, I'm repeating myself, but I'll try not to make it too terribly much. I finished the ornaments for the grandkids, but I didn't have time to fully finish the ornaments for my kids. They weren't completely done. They were almost done. One of them I still can't find. They're all Satsuma Street ornaments, and there was one that was an angel, and it was like a blue angel. And I've stitched part of it. Probably I'm about halfway done. I can't remember. But I can't find it anywhere. Now my craft room's pretty much a wreck. I don't think it's in there though, because I did go through things. I thought maybe it's at work. I looked at the obvious place at work. It's not there. It may have fallen back behind things because I did stitch on it at work. But I'm sure I'm going to open a project bag or something and it's going to appear. But it was supposed to be for my daughter-in-law. Well, I wanted to go ahead and give her one, and my oldest daughter, Lindsay, wanted the same one that my grandson, Jared, got, which was like the snow monster by Satsuma Street, and it's kind of blue and white too. And she has a blue theme for her Christmas. So I said, well, if you can wait, I will stitch that one for you. So the others I have not given to the adults. I have to put the felt on the back. Everything else is done. The hanger's attached to everything. And these are all Satsuma Street. I don't know the name of the snowman. This one's called Puppy Present. I think I showed that to you before. One of the sequins had come off because I didn't have that. I think I snipped that thread at the wrong place by mistake. And so anyway, I fixed it. And this little penguin, I think he's called Cool Kid. And I did put the little year charm at the top of these. And I attached the charm directly to the perforated paper on these. The ones I did for the kids, it was kind of hooked in the hanger and it didn't lay well. That was not a good choice. So I won't be doing that again. If you want a 2025 charm, if you need them for something you stitched and you just want to add it to something. Cat wants to make a bed on the stocking, not happening. Okay. Send me an email and I will send you a 2025 charm. I have them in gold tone and silver tone because when you order them from Amazon, you get like 200 in the package. And, you know, I used like 10. So email me, Southern Yankee Stitcher, all one word, all together, Southern Yankee Stitcher @gmail.com. Just say I'd like some charms and tell me if you want gold tone, silver tone, or both. And I will gladly send some to you because I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of those. Just don't know. So after I got Christmas stitching done, then I had to play catch up on my whip go. And I did. And I'll show you what I had 2 pulls from November, 1 pull from October, and then December pulls that I had not done on whip go because I was just doing Christmas stuff, stockings and ornaments. So I pulled the charts then after Christmas and wanted to finish everything up. One of them, the Moonlight Berry Sampler, was in the free space. I completed the free space. Well, I don't think that, I'm not even sure I want to stitch it. And so I changed it. I cheated, I guess, and I changed the free space because I didn't want to stitch that one. I might want to stitch it later. It's something I got to retreat. It's all kitted up, so, and it's kind of small. It'd be easy to stitch. I should go ahead and just stitch it for like a smalls exchange maybe, but anyway, I did not stitch it. But I will tell you what I did stitch, and I got done everything on my whip go board. If you see, my board is done. So let me show you the ones I did. The first one is Mary Sanderson. Now, if you Google Mary Sanderson sampler, it's going to come up with the Sanderson sisters from, what's that Halloween movie called? Hocus Pocus? I think there's also another sampler that's a bigger sampler than this. That's Mary Sanderson. But this came out of the Cross Stitch and Needlework magazine, November 2014. And I like the greens in this. But as I got stitching it, well, first of all, the green that I thought was going to be like a hunter green in the letters and the stripes below the letters, the lines, I guess you'd say, instead of stripes, was more of a teal color. And as I got into this, I stalled out on this row right here because those are 4-sided stitches. And I did some 4-sided stitches and they just didn't look good. So I ripped them all out. I did a couple of letters. I ripped them all out, and this was back, I don't know, months ago when I stitched on it. Then below it, these are like, are they eyelet or are they Algerian eyelet? So, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do those. I've done a lot of eyelet stitches on another sampler I've worked on. And then looking at it, I know this was created after the original. This is a reproduction. That was, let me show you the picture. Here's, you know, with all of her flaws and everything. Here it is, the original. But as I got stitching it, I just didn't want to do that. You know, I've gotten where all the samplers that I do, I personalize them for a family member. And I looked at this and I thought, my family members, I don't know, I'm doing like grandparents and, you know, older relatives, some I knew, some I didn't know. And I just didn't want to put one of their names on there crooked like that. And, you know, it has a charm to it, which is why I started. So anyway, I said all that to say, I altered this chart. I decided not to do this row and not to do, and only did some of these. You've got a small, you've got an urn, big urn, small urn, little pine tree, and a deer, and a little Quaker, I guess, piece. So I altered the chart and I finished this in my own way. And this is what I did. I did go back in that bottom alphabet, I did the 4-sided stitch. Then below it, I did a long cross stitch where I did like 2 over 4. It's only 2 wide, but it's 4 tall, that green, light green. Then on this one here, I altered it a little bit. I took a little bit of the big urn, the vessel, I used the big urn, but the plant I did from the small urn, but I changed it a little bit because I didn't want it to be too terribly tall. Then over here, I did the deer, just as it was charted, which is 1 over 1. And I just did tent stitch on that deer and the grass below him, but you can't tell. And then I did this is 2 over, is it 2 over 2? Let me see what I'm stitching this on. I think it was 1 over 2. No, it's 2 over 2. It's 32 count linen by Mystic. The color is Viteris. I think it's a V to begin with. I don't know. I have kind of a question mark there because the tag that was on my fabric, I had trouble reading. So I'm going to make this just, if I have a little frame, I might frame it. If I don't have a little frame, I'll make it a pin pillow. I have a hard time displaying pin pillows, mainly because of the felines that live in my house. I'm afraid we'll mess with them too much. So I'd rather have it framed and they won't mess with something framed. So I have a big stash of frames and I'm just gonna see what I have before I do any fully finishing on that. But it is done. And that was a December pull, Mary Sanderson, number 1. Got her done. All right, then in number 22 for November, I had Santa's 12 Days of Christmas. And I've been working on this for a while. For a while, I mean since January 9th, 2022. So 4 years now, I've been working on this. And when I started it, I was like, oh, I'll do one Santa a month and have it done. No. Here's the chart if you haven't seen it. It's 1 through 4, 5 through 8, and 9 through 12. Every one of these has a little pear in it somewhere, and you can see the pears pictured here. I think it was the Red Velvet Stitcher. She did them separately as ornaments and put them on a tree with just pears. Really cute. Really, really cute. I think it was her. I know I saw it, and I heard someone else talk about it on their Flosstube, and they said it was her. So I'm going by that. Because I can't remember. I've watched a lot of Flosstube while I've been off, you know, these few weeks. Yeah, I watched a lot of Flosstube. I've been watching Flosstube, and I've been watching The Closer with Kira Sedgwick. It's I don't know, there's like 7 or 8 seasons out. I'm only on season 3 right now, and I think my husband watched it. But I never watched it. It's really good. She's a detective, you know, and works with the police force, and so you're solving a mystery every hour. But it's really good. I'm doing all my Santas. This is stitched on it's 2x2, 32 count lamb's wool Jobelin. And when I pulled it out, I did 9. 9 had not been started, so I did all of 9, and I started 10. I really like these. I am going to, when I show you the other stitching I did, this is not in order. It hurt my eyes. I was so tired after doing some of this other stitching. That was 1/1. That when I picked up this Prairie Schooler, it was like just relaxing. And I've got now where if I sit down and watch TV at night, I can't just sit and watch television. I have to have stitching in my hand. I have to be doing something else, not just sitting there stitching. I mean, not just sitting there watching TV. So, you know, I stitch at night. And Prairie Schooler is definitely comfort stitching. It's block stitching, which I like. I like fill in. I like blocks, colors like that. It's just what I like. Let's see. The other November pull was, let me find a picture to show you. I'll show you the chart. It's At Home by Brenda Gervais. Love this chart. The colors are so pretty. My only complaint is that the one color I have, and it's I talk about it every time, because when you see somebody else's you like better, you tend to remember. I think it's a Classic Colorworks Mystic. Goodness, where is it? Mountain Mist, sorry, by the Gentle Art. My Mountain Mist is, well, hard to see. It's more green and it's lighter. It's not as blue as some that I've seen. And I like the blue a little bit better, but I still love this piece. I think it's so pretty. Take out my needle here. This is stitched on a 36 count linen by Atomic Fabrics called Embellish. And I'm using all the called for colors, which are Gentle Arts, DMC, Weeks. I think there's a Classic Colorworks in there too. Sorry. I don't have one of those boards. That's on my list to do this year, is to make one of those boards that I can lay the stitching on and show you these to you properly like a real floss tuber would do. But this is my at home. Now I finished this deer, only part of it was done. Well, I think I'd have to put some white spots in there, maybe as eye. And then I did all of these motifs, and I brought the border around. Started filling in some border. I don't remember exactly where I was, but I worked on it for a day. Sorry, the phone's making its own shadow because the light behind me, or behind it. I apologize for the light being crazy. It's, you know, the sun's going down, just getting home from work. I wanted to do this yesterday, but I'll tell you why I didn't get it done yesterday. But anyway, you can kind of see how big it's going to be, and I love it. I'll be showing you, I'll be doing a video in the next week. I might wait till the weekend so that the light's better. But we're gonna have rain this weekend, so I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna do a whip parade and talk to you about my 2026 plans, and a lot of that is WhipGo. I'm gonna do WhipGo again. I will tell you a little bit about that. All right, and then the last project I worked on, it was an October pull number 6 and a December pull number 25, and it's Chestnut Springs. And this is the chart that I'm doing. This is my design, and I'm amending it as I go along. But when I picked this up, most of the house was stitched except for the stone foundation and the stone posts, porch posts. And there's somebody talking. So I worked on the stones. I'll kind of show you the whole thing, and then we'll kind of zoom in. Let me put the project bag behind it might help. So this is where I am. These flowers going around the border. They're all different colors. Most of them are weeks. And this is my childhood home. There were hundreds of azaleas around the property, and so these flowers represent the azaleas. R was my maiden name, also started with an R, so it's for that. And then this is like the Maryland flag, and then that's like the state, the county, and the community, and then that's the name of our house. And there's our house. And what I worked on for about, y'all, I worked on it a couple hours. I worked on it about 14 hours one day. I maybe took a break to eat something or flip laundry, but these rocks, all 1/1, and then the porch posts, 1/1. I used about 6 colors in there. The easy part of that was I just picked colors and stitched. Just stitched a few. That's the cats chewing on the ornaments. I can't wait to take this Christmas down. They're driving me nuts with ornaments. But I just did kind of a rock shape in a different color and jumped around and trying to make it even but not even. Make it kind of balanced but not even, so it looked random. Just like the house. This room down here in the house, this was a separate bedroom. All the other bedrooms were upstairs, but this bedroom, like the oldest child, I'm one of 6. The oldest child had that bedroom. I think actually my oldest sister had moved out right about the time it was built. My parents built this house. But that was my bedroom for college years until I got married. And like 6 months after I got married, I stayed in that bedroom there. Everybody wanted to be in that bedroom. You had your own, there was also your own entrance and exit, but I didn't use it. But you're kind of separate and you just kind of felt older, like it was an apartment or something. And I love the stone. I've always wanted to live in a stone house since then. I worked a long time on this. Now I am going to, I shouldn't have folded this up yet. I'm going to work on this. I have to do a fence over here and a tree, mulberry tree. Over here's a big blue spruce. And then I'm going to do a pastoral scene in here. That's not really on the tree, the fence, and the spruce tree are on there, and some grass. But, sorry for the glare, I'm going to put a bunch of animals in the grass. So the grass will be bigger. As you see, I put this thing on the top. I may even have a version of that, because after I made the chart up, well, here's a black and white version. I kind of fooled around with it like how I wanted it to be. And this is the one I settled on here. But I'm going to do a pastoral scene in the grass with a lot of animals, which were our pets. We had a pony, we had chickens, we had a duck. It was actually my niece's duck. We were only a couple months apart. She got a duckling for Easter, and after it got big and they had it for a while, they said, I'm getting low battery. We want the duck to come live with your chickens. I guess is what she said to my sister said to my parents. I don't know. But anyway, our dogs, cats, rabbits. So I'm going to put the animals in the grassy area and work on that. I would love to get this done this year too, but this is so special to me because my home was so special to me that I don't want to rush through it and do it wrong or regret what I do. That's why spending those 13, 14 hours, one whole day doing 1/1 stitching was worth it to me for that. I did a little stitching the next day on it so that I could finish up all the stone. I wanted to have the stone work done. I originally thought that I would go back with a back stitch around it in like a light gray to represent the mortar, but I don't think I need it. I'm not going to put that in right now. I didn't test it because I didn't want to mess it up. Picking out something what's 1/1. I mean, I didn't want to mess it up. I might just think of that later on. But I wanted to get all the stone done so I remember where I was, what colors I was using. Then I did go back, and because at the bottom of the, let me show you. At the bottom of the chart, I am going to do this, another stone wall. There were stone walls around our house, on terraces, around our driveway. Wherever you dug, you found stone. But my grandfather, my mother's father, was really good at dry stacking stone and building stone walls. And he taught my mom, and my mom did it too. And there were a lot of them. And I remember watching her build the stone walls with the dry stack. So what I did, because I was pulling colors, and I pulled new colors that I hadn't pulled before as I was stitching it and just seeing kind of what shades I needed, is I put just the colors of the stones on this separate ring in the bag. Here's the ring that has all the others. because when I get to that stone wall on the bottom, I want to remember what colors I used. And I used Weeks Dye Works Banana Pudding. You wouldn't think that would work, but it worked. Palomino, General Arts Limited Edition that I got in the Advent box. DMC 167, DMC 413, 613, 642, and 648 were the DMC colors. So I'll be able to do the same color stones and won't have a bunch of guesswork later on. I've also been making a note of what colors I use in case I need to go back and try and match something up. And that's kind of why I wanted to finish the stone. And when I work on something that I'm making changes to from the chart, I like to finish all one section. Like there's a Dimensions, I think it's a Dimensions kit I have, and Scenic Farm. I'm not following the instructions exactly because Dimensions, you might stitch with 2, 3, or 4 threads and blends. Well, I'm only stitching with 2 on that thing because 3 and 4 was just too tight in the fabric. I just couldn't make it work. So, and I didn't like doing all that. Trying to get 4 colors in a needle. I mean, you gotta have a big old needle, and I don't like stitching with a big old needle. But so like while I was working on that, I wanted to finish like the whole house. So I knew I wouldn't have trouble trying to figure out what I did and matching it up. Either that or you have to take good notes. All right, I have a little haul to show you, but I also have a fun fact. I know we've kind of got away from that with all the Christmas stuff going on. I did share some fun facts with you in my Flossmas, maybe a couple of fun facts along the way, but I'm getting back to our First Ladies. And the First Lady today that I wanted to share with you about is Barbara Bush. I always thought she was such a class act. And you never heard anything. I never remember hearing anything bad about her. Maybe because the age I was, maybe because the news didn't report the way it does now. But she just always seemed to be very classy. And even reading in this book about her, it talks about her, it quotes her. Her big project was childhood literacy. So she had a lot of, she wrote a book about her dog, Millie, Springer Spaniel, I think it was. But it also quotes her in here, like when she was on Oprah saying, what'd she say? I don't know if I can find it now. Well, she said that she was so grateful for everything she had, and that, she looked forward to waking up every day. That, and she was just very, very positive. And like I said, I never remember hearing anything bad about her. I'm not a Texas person, so I don't know all about the Texas career that her husband had. And, I'm sure that she was by his side for a lot of it, but I will say she was second lady to when her husband was vice president. She was second lady from 1981 to 1989. Then she was first lady from 89 to 93. And then she was mother of the 43rd president from 2001 to 2009. Well, which maybe you didn't know about Barbara Bush is she loved to do needlepoint. And she started on a project, I assume when her husband was in some state office. Maybe he was, I don't know, he wasn't vice president yet, I'll say that. Because she started this project in 1975 and she finished it in 1983, which he was still vice president then, yeah. It was a needlepoint rug, and I'm going to show you a picture, but I want to read this so I don't get it wrong. It took 8 years for her to make this rug, a needlepoint rug. She began it in China in 1975 and finished it in 1983. She stitched it in 17 countries and 36 states. She stitched her grandchildren's initials and important dates in it. And she is quoted as saying, "I wanted something that wouldn't outgrow, something that would last forever." And this is a picture of her needlepoint rug that she stitched in the White House. Where it is today, I'm not sure. But look at that. I mean, wow. This is a picture of her in 78 showing it to her friends while she's working on it. Bye.
Sorry, I don't interrupt.
It's okay. Are you?
I'll go back.
Okay. All right. See ya. So I wish it was a little bit better picture, but look at that rug. And I love that she put it grandchildren's initials in there and dates and things to personalize it. It's kind of like what we do in our stitching. And you know, people over the years have done in their stitching. So I thought I would share that with you. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. A fun fact about Barbara Bush. My mom always liked her because of her pearls. And I will say I have some chunky, of course they're not real, and I don't know if Barbara's were, but I have some chunky pearls, Barbara Bush pearls. I've worn them a few times. It's not something I wear a lot, and I used to wear it a lot more early 2000s when I wore more jewelry. When I worked at the law firm instead of school, I dressed up more, and I wore more jewelry than I wear now. All right, well, let me share with you my haul, and then I want to tell you a little bit about what I have going on in my craft room. Okay, so I got my Stitch Club flosses from Gowron Stitchery, and you know these are alphabetical, so I had to I did put a lot of floss away while I was on break, and redid my weeks because I knew they would be coming, you know, more in the beginning of the alphabet. So I had to separate my rings a little bit. But there's Beehive, Beachcomber, Bayberry, Battleship, and Basil. So, you know, I like adding to my stash, and I certainly have used them. If I had this stash before I started at Chestnut Springs, I'm starting to get some duplicate colors I'm using that chart, which is fine because, I mean, I picked them out because I like the color, obviously. But it's nice to have a stash. Then I saw, yeah, I've been watching a lot of Flosstube. I'm sorry, I should have opened these plastic bags beforehand. Put it down here under the table while I open it. I watched Nicola Parkman. I don't always watch her Flosstubes. I do, you know, like to stitch samplers, but I don't know why. I just don't always watch hers. But she's always so put together. I love that. But the one I happened to watch was one where she showed this fabric panel that she had released, and it's for America 250. And she turned all of these into pin pillows. And you have the front and the back. All you have to do is sew it up and stuff it. If you want to put trim, you can. And then she had them all in a bowl together. Let me keep trying to move like I'm the one making the shadow. Oops. to turn different directions. Let's see, then we're gonna go this way. I mean, they are so cute, don't you think? So I'm gonna zip through those and get them done and put out. And I may end up, what I think I might do, I don't know, I have a couple of options. I have some big bird cages. I have a big red bird cage. And I thought, I'm not sure if I can get these to fit in the bird cage. I've just used it for decorative things. And I haven't used it in years, actually. Because I gotta keep them away from the cats, you know. I could put them, arrange them in that. Or get like a big cloche and arrange them in that maybe. Or just have them in a room, my craft room or my bedroom, that are the no cat zones. I don't know which I'm gonna do yet, but I do wanna sew those up because I think they're super cute. And I love, 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 love patriotic, you know that. I did get my 2026 book of days, and I will show you what I'm going to do to alter this book of days. It's kind of like what Sherry at Colorado Cross Stitcher does, where she like separates the binding and then makes it spiral and adds some pages to the back. I've done that the last couple of years and I really enjoyed it because I put my Whipco board right in there. And so I'm going to do that again this year. I'm going to do a separate video. I think maybe I already said this, with my whip parade and my plans. And I'll go over like Whipco. Yeah, Whipco at the same time. I said that already. I did do some thrifting. Last week, I was home all week. I think I was home 4 days and didn't get dressed. Didn't go anywhere. I stayed in my pajamas. Now I bathed and changed my pajamas, but I stayed in my pajamas for, I don't know, 3 or 4 days. And I just stitched and watched TV. And it was wonderful. I enjoyed it so much. It was quiet. I mean, the chaos of Christmas I love, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But the quiet in the few days after, I really enjoyed. But this past Saturday, I had to go work at my church. I'm the secretary and treasurer at my church, and I had to do the church bulletin among other things, so I had to go. You know, I normally do get that stuff done by Thursday, but I had to go because I'd put it off. And I was like, well, I think I want to go to some thrift stores. Like, I need something else in this house. No, I do not. But I just want to go anyway. And so there were 2 in town that benefit like charities. Well, actually there's more than that because there's hospice that benefits hospice. Hospice is more of an upscale thrift store, and they're very selective with what they put out. Then there are the 2 others that are kind of run by the people that are in their programs, and they're not as selective about their things. So good and bad. You don't have as many people shopping there probably, but I don't know, there's a lot of retirees that live here on the lake, and that's who you see in a thrift store. I don't know if they're reselling or they just want to bargain. But anyway, I wanted to go to the Faith Home one, and Faith Home is a 12-step substance abuse program, and they've been in Greenwood here in South Carolina for years, and it's a great program. Their choir comes and sings at our church every Sunday after Thanksgiving. It was run by a lady whose husband went through a 12-step program, and the 2 of them started together, and then he passed away and she kept it going, and she just passed like past year. But anyway, they have a thrift store, and I wanted to go there. I was like, I haven't been in there in a while. I need to go in because they normally have a lot of furniture. And, you know, I've been thinking about doing my craft room, and I was gonna do it in like IKEA organizational shelves and drawers and all that. And I had things like in a cart. I actually found some kind of equivalent stuff that was cheaper on Walmart's website, and I had them sitting in my cart, but I just couldn't pull the trigger. I just wasn't sure I wanted to do that. So then there's this other thrift store called Pathway House, and it benefits the homeless. And they have a little village that, I don't know, it probably has 20 little like efficiency cottages in like this little village for the homeless to live in. And then they have like a food hall, and they sell things here to help benefit. It was started by one of the doctors in town who just recently also passed away. But they, you know, these people left wonderful legacies with these programs they started. But anyway, so that, when I left church, that's the first one I went to. And I found a couple things in there. One of them was this, and it was, I don't know, $1 or $2. And I don't really like this chevron, but if I hang stitching from this that comes close, you're not going to see that chevron hardly. And the red, like this, is definitely my vibe. And they had some Christmas stuff because, you know, people, they had a pile of Christmas trees. People were cleaning out. They're like, I'm getting rid of this tree this year. Next year's a new tree. I did that last year. I know how it is. But I was super surprised to find this piece, and I was so excited. I don't know if he's a prairie schooler. I don't think he's a prairie schooler. But he's got a little star charm on him and a bell on the top. And it was done by SW in '96. I don't know what you call this fabric. I know there's a name for it. I've never stitched on it. I want to say that I have seen this pattern before, but I don't know. But it's weighted on the bottom to stand up. And when I found it, I was like, oh, I was so excited to find this. So while I was in line paying for these things, there's a couple people in front of me, and they were talking about another thrift store. I didn't hear the name of what store they were talking about, but their shelves were empty. Well, I was headed home. I'm like, well, I'm going to stop at the Faith Home and look at their stuff too, and just see if they have anything that maybe I want to use in my craft room. Leave that alone. And so distracted, sorry. So I go by there and I go in, and sure enough, their shelves were empty, like completely empty. And they had a ton of dishes and stuff. They had a lot of things that had been there for months and months probably. And I guess at the end of the year, I'm gonna have to hurry this up. I guess at the end of the year, they just clean out their shelves and start over, and which is good. Like I want to go back in a few days and see what new stuff they've put out. But they had, if this cuts off, y'all, I'm just gonna say bye because I'm afraid my battery might die. They had a china cabinet with a lot of storage on the bottom, a lot of drawers and a couple doors, and glass doors that were lighted. And then the center was like the dowels where you can stand plates up in there in between. And I just like the look of it a lot. And it was half price because it had been sitting there since August. Nobody else wanted it, apparently. So I asked them if they deliver. They said they would for $35. I'm like, done. While I was there, I saw 2 pairs of little tap shoes, and they were like brand new. So I text my daughter-in-law real quick and said, are you planning to put the girls in dance? I see tap shoes here that are a couple dollars a pair, and they look like they're almost in their size. I can't see a size in them. Well, the internet was terrible there, so the picture in my text didn't go through until later. My daughter-in-law texted me back later, and she said, yeah, they would love dance. And I said, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and get these shoes. So I said, I'll go back and get them. I've already left, but it's like 5 minutes from my house. So I went back to get the shoes. While I was in there, there's another piece sitting beside the china cabinet that was like it was either an entertainment center, like it was made to put a TV on, or it was made to put a hutch on top of, and it was the base. I can't quite figure it out, but it does have electricity run to it, which makes me think, I don't know, there's like some outlets inside it. So it has doors that open, and then there's shelves and drawers inside. And they're both cherry wood. I bought that too. It's kind of back to what I originally wanted to do in my craft room, which was put furniture in there. I like how do I describe it? I like a look that looks like it was collected over time. And as much as I love seeing those craft room organization videos where everything is perfect in these white shelves and drawers and everything, that's just not really me. And that's why I left the stuff sitting in my cart, and I couldn't hit that buy button. Just couldn't do it. So anyway, I got them both for a really good price. I've looked up the furniture online, and they're both brands that are expensive. So they're good quality. In fact, the guy that was at the checkout there, it's all run by the men that are in this 12-step program, He's like, I don't really know much. Are these like good prices you're getting? I said, well, yeah, they're good prices. I said, it's used stuff, but I'd rather spend the same money on this than something that I have to put together like from IKEA because it's built better and it's solid wood. And they're both solid wood. They're cherry. They're nice. I moved stuff out of half of my craft room yesterday. My daughter Lindsay helped me, and they delivered the furniture today when I got home from work, which is why I was a little bit late starting this video and why I've lost sunlight now. It's dark. Anyway, they fit really well in there. It's a lot of furniture in a small room. It is that. But I can display some things and make it pretty and practical. So after we had taken half the stuff out of the room to make room for the furniture, when we put it on the spare room, which you can't even walk in my spare room now, my daughter said, you should have taken some before pictures. And I'm like, I said, I don't think I really want to show before pictures. I'm pretty embarrassed at how messy it was and crowded, and there's so much stuff in there. So much stuff. It's just, anyway. And she said, everybody loves the before and after. I said, I know, I do too. So even though I had cleared out half the room, I did a little video, showed half of the room. Well, it showed the clear half and showed the jumbled up half. And then I showed the spare room with all the stuff we had taken out of there, which is just a fraction of what is in that room because the closet is full too. So I'm going to do a big destash, unclutter, clean out of my craft room. I have to do it. I just have to. It's not a space I can use right now. When I had this stocking I made, I brought the sewing machine in here on the kitchen table and did it on the kitchen table, and I have a whole room for that. So I've got to clean up the furniture really good and get things arranged and get rid of a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to take some videos along the way, and then I'll do a final tour, and I'll put all the videos together and do one video. And that may be, y'all, it may be a month because I need some help to do it too. I was joking with my daughter. I said, will you be the person that tells me to hold it and tell me if I have feelings that, you know, maybe want to keep this item? And because she understands and likes this, she's gotten where she likes things that I like, but she's not going to keep too much. She's not a maximalist, but she's not a minimalist either. And she kind of used to be. I don't think either one, I think both of my girls are going to end up like me, kind of a maximalist. My son, there's no hope for him. He's a minimalist and boring. He just wants stuff boring. But anyway, so that will be coming soon, and my whip parade. But that's all that I'm gonna record for now. It's an hour. I didn't expect or plan for this to be an hour. So let me get off of here and quit rambling before my battery dies. Kids are back to school tomorrow where I work. I'm sure your kids are either back to school today or getting ready to go back to school, and people are going back to work, and wah wah. Nobody wants to do that, but I needed to get back into my routine. I really did. I really need to get back into it. So I will talk to you all soon. If you want to be sure to see my whip parade and my craft room redo, and you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Like this video and hit the bell if you want alerts to let you know when I post a video. Okay? See y'all later.